All right, what it do, party people? So we're gonna do this Bernie Sanders on the what's this guy Andrew Shultz show from across the spectrum, like we do. So we're gonna start out with Jimmy Dore here. We got a few more to do. I'm gonna do them one at a time this time. So I'm gonna put them out one at a time instead of having one real long video.
Could we not also say if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Fair enough.
How quickly did he answer that? How quickly did he say yes? And then these people are going to tell you to vote blue no matter who. It doesn't make any sense. Then he's also a threat to democracy.
Bernie Sanders would never come on our show, and it was because he likes to go on corporate news because they always attack him from the right. He didn't want somebody criticizing him or critiquing him from the left. If you remember, he wouldn't even let Kyle Kalinske come on his own show when Kyle was going to critique. Back when Kyle wasn't Malibu.
I forgot.
Kyle Kalinske, we know him as Dim and Them or the real Dim Shady over here. So, yeah, the Kyle guy that we be talking about sometimes.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yes.
So, and Kyle said, sure, you can kick me off my own show. Because that's the kind of spine Kyle has, which means he doesn't have anybody. So so he'll go on someone like Theo Vaughn's show, which I love Theo Vaughn, and he'll go on someone like Andrew Schultz's show, knowing that they're not going to actually, they're not into politics the way we are here, and they're not going to actually cut him off at the legs. But they actually do.
Schultz did, didn't he?
Schultz actually does do a really good. Bernie did not see this coming, I think, and Schultz actually watch
good work, Schultz.
and watch what they get Bernie. So good on Schultz, and watch what they get Bernie to admit. Watch this.
The problem I think a lot of voters had is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy. But from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I donated for you. I mean, I wanted you to, like, 2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you.
I felt like that in 2016, but I felt even more like that in 2020 when he won the first, 2 or 3 states before South Carolina or whatever. I didn't know that could happen, that Barack could go in there and have everybody drop out and stuff and back Joe Biden. That was like, because I even told my family and stuff, I was like, oh man, he won this. Like, we got this. We're about to do this. And then here comes Barack Obama and Joe Clyburn. Was it Joe Clyburn or not Joe Clyburn? Who's the preacher guy? I forget his name, but the guy from South Carolina. It might be Joe Clyburn.
When you supported him.
Look, but you have, in the world that I live in, you got a choice. And, I mean, a lot of people, including my wife, agree with you. But, you know, you're down to a choice. Is it going to be Hillary Clinton or is it going to be Donald Trump? Not a great.
That is BS, because he's one of the reasons that right now that we only have 2 choices. People wanted you. You could have gone to the Green Party and gave the people an actual third choice.
Good choice, but.
Yeah, so I chose the people who actually cheated me personally and cheated out my movement. So instead of taking my movement and extracting some concessions from those people, I completely rolled over. Completely rolled over, and I didn't ask for anything. And in fact,
Isn't that crazy how he backs the people that cheated him? Like, what are you doing, Bernie? I don't get it. Where did you go? Where did you come from? This is crazy.
I then herded those people back into the Democratic Party, who did all basically the essentially same things that the Donald Trump administration did, and I told them to vote for it. And then 4 years later, I did the same thing. So what he's saying is I had a choice to make. The choice he made was for his own political ass. That's the choice he made. He wanted to be a member of the Democratic Party, and he told Chris Hedges when he said, hey, Bernie, in 2015 and 2016, you should run as an independent. Bernie Sanders turned to him and Jesse Ventura and said, I don't want to end up like Ralph Nader. That was the choice he made. He's trying to make it seem like, well, I was opposing Trump, so I had to go with Hillary Clinton. No, you were looking out for your own political ass. That's what you were doing. So this, again, he's a phony. And it doesn't bring me any joy to say that. I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter, but I'm not a sycophant. I'm not tied to Bernie Sanders, the politician. I'm tied to the ideas he was pushing, right?
Exactly.
Bringing jobs back to America, making the tax system fair, ending wars, health care that's affordable and works for everyone.
Basically, the Green Party platform. Everything Bernie was saying was basically the Green Party platform. There was no reason for him to be in the Democratic Party. There was, other than to just take people there and kill the movement. Like, I hope that wasn't his goal in 2016. I really do. But the more I look at it, the more I look back, and the more he's doing now, that's what he's doing now, and he knows he's doing it now. But was that the plan in 2016, or did he really become a Democrat in this time and get changed by the Democrats, and now he's not who he used to be?
Everybody, that kind of stuff. So
he doesn't want to be like Ralph Nader, the guy that got seatbelts in cars.
Yeah, that's right.
And they try to a guy with an actual legacy that actually did something. Yeah, that would be a shame.
And so here he is saying that. So that's false what he just said. But watch and good on. So he's like, I had to side with the cheaters. I had to side with but it even gets better.
Right.
Watch this.
It ended up being him anyway, so why don't we burn it down?
It ended
There
up
you
being
go.
Trump anyway. Exactly what Jimmy Dore was saying since 2016. Why? It's going to end up being.
Again, Hillary Clinton helped Donald Trump win. She cheated Bernie Sanders, helped Donald Trump with a Pied Piper strategy. The Democratic Party would prefer Donald Trump to a populist platform like Bernie Sanders.
Let's do it.
Building season.
Yeah.
Well, because it's easy to say burning it down means that children are not going to have, food to eat. That
Donald Trump gave out extra money for children during COVID, and Joe Biden cut it off. A bunch of kids had to go back on food, or lost food stamps or something when Joe Biden got in. I forget exactly what it was, but there was a big stink for a while when he did that.
the schools will deteriorate. People,
That all happened anyway. The homeless population exploded under Joe Biden. What are you talking about?
Well,
the
Jimmy,
war-
it's not that simple.
The children are being slaughtered right now under Joe Biden. They were slaughtered everywhere. What are you there was Ukraine slaughter. There was the Gaza slaughter. There was homelessness skyrocketing. What are you talking? The prison pop. What are you talking about? I did it for children. This is so stomach churning to watch
It's
him.
not that simple, Jimmy. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
The tapes that would come out of me and the things I was supposed to do,
Yeah, that's right.
like my family and my career, is too much.
But it gets even better.
will not have health care.
I got it.
And I'm an elected official. I got to represent the people.
That's
You said
I
health
can't
care?
turn my-
Joe Biden said he wouldn't sign universal health care if it came to his desk. The Democrats have had plenty of opportunity to give us health care and haven't. What does that mean, health care? You voted for a Democrat for health care reasons? Why, Bernie? You need to explain that a lot better.
my back on.
But then could we not also say if ostensibly there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008, are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear
Fair enough.
How fast did you
Are the
say that?
Democrats also a threat to democracy?
So then anybody saying vote blue no matter who is not for democracy, really. Because the Democrats, yes, are a threat to democracy, but we've never had a real democracy, so we're used to what we have. So, I mean... it's what
And
it
Bernie
is.
Sanders said yes.
What are we
Yes.
doing here?
What? So great, by the way, great job by the Andrew Schultz show. I don't know what
Nice.
that
I
was
forgot the other guy's name, but good work on him.
good work. That was fantastic. Because I don't even think I would have been able to pull that off had Bernie Sanders in my studio. I don't think I would have got him
wouldn't
to
have
it.
come.
I would have. He'll never come. But I don't think he would have. He didn't see that coming.
Right.
They're reaching out to young men. So remember, we needed Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we needed Joe
And
Rogan,
Andrew
right.
Schultz is friends with Charlemagne, who supported the Democrats still this day.
Yes.
And so it seems like a neutral, good, safe ground with young men, and he seems to have a following.
Yes.
He didn't know he was going to get asked real questions at all.
And so they said, aren't the Democrats also so is that the whole thing? You had to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because we're saving democracy. Well, there he is admitting that it's actually the Democrats that are a threat to democracy, and the Democrats are the ones who rigged their primaries. So we haven't actually had a voice in government or a choice since 2008.
It's actually been longer than that. But the point is, Bernie Sanders is going to say, he just said that the Democrats are a threat to democracy. And yet he's going to tell you to vote for Democrats. Vote boo no matter who, he'll say. How in the world can I can't trust him anymore? And it's sad to say, I used to love Bernie Sanders, man, like for real. It's so disappointing to see this.
That's what he just admitted to.
That was great.
That was great. Tip of the hat to Andrew Shultz's show and that guy.
That is.
So I'm going to hear it again.
Ostensibly, there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Yes.
Fair enough. That is. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
He didn't want to elaborate, though. You should elaborate, Bernie. We could have used some details on that answer right there. Ooh.
So then, Bernie, why are you going around the country stumping for the Democrats if they're a threat to democracy? Why aren't you doing what you said needed to be? So that's what he's been doing. So he's going around propping up AOC because they want her to be the next face of the Democratic Party. That's exactly what he's doing. So he's trying to herd people back into the Democratic Party. That's what this tour is about. That they're not fighting oligarchy because they love oligarchs. They're the party of oligarchs. Yeah. More billionaires supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden than supported Trump. So that's complete. Yeah. That's just
two.
That's a smoke screen.
Golden Dome before Trump.
That's right. So what they're doing is trying to keep people back into that left-right. Bloods versus the Crips. Our tribe is better, and please come back into our anti-worker, pro-war party that's for censorship.
Left, right, but Democrats aren't left, and it sucks that people call them left versus the right that Republicans are or whatever. Democrats are the right also. It's more like capitalism versus anti-capitalism or whatever. We don't want to have a system set up that is money first and oligarchs and rich people controlling us. We want regular people having a say and money spread out.
Yeah. Please get all the people who have revolutionary energy, keep them from starting a third party, which is what Bernie Sanders should have did. In fact, that's what he said had to happen. This is back in 1988 when Jesse Jackson was running for president. This is what he said had to happen. Back then, he knew the Democratic Party was evil and corrupt. Here's what he said.
Now, my own view, and it has been my view for many, many years.
For many, many years. This is his view for many, many years. What is your view?
Is that what we need in this country is what Jackson calls a rainbow coalition. But it has to be done outside of the Democratic Party.
Oh, man.
So what he's saying is we need a rainbow coalition, meaning people from the left and the right, white and black, coming together, all colors, all coming together along class lines to start a party outside of the Democratic Party. He said I've been saying this for many, many years. What changed, Bernie? What changed? And that's why he wouldn't come on this show.
And so that's why we got to do it outside the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are parties for, what do you call it, the businesses, the corporations, they're corporate parties, right? They're not for the people. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter who joins the Democratic Party, the leadership, the people who fund it are going to be for corporations. And if the Democratic Party does start to switch it up, they'll lose their funding. They won't have the funding from the people now, or the corporations, and now the big money people, the Donald Trumps and Elon Musk that have been giving them money all this time. Then they would lose all their funding, right? The Democrats. So it's the same thing. Just go to the party that already has the platform and let's fund it with the people. Try to do our best and get it up. The Democratic Party, they talk about our platform, but they're never going to implement our platform.
Because he knew I had this video, and he didn't have an answer for that. Because nothing has changed. In fact, the Democratic Party has gotten way worse since 1988.
True that.
Way worse. And that's why he wouldn't come on this show. And that's why he won't go. He wouldn't even go on Kyle Kalinski's. He wouldn't even let Kyle Kalinske be on his own show because he was afraid of somebody bringing this up. Go ahead, Kurt. What?
It's called the circle of cuck, Jimmy. I get cucked first, and then I go on and handcuff Kyle to a toilet and then do an interview with his wife.
So,
He'd go on a show
So
now.
here
and
it
them
is. Let's hear it
shavers
one
would
more
sauce
time.
him up.
Now, my own view, and it has been my view for many, many years, is that what we need in this country is what Jackson calls a rainbow coalition. But it has to be done outside of the Democratic Party.
Has to be done outside the Democratic Party.
And I say that here, and I'm delighted to be here with DSA because they are a non-sectarian group, and we have worked with them, and we recognize that honestly.
so that again, the DSA is a psyop that is completely controlled by the deep state and the billionaire class.
And that's a little bit crazy. The DSA here in Hawaii is really cool, right? They're really good. They do a lot of stuff, and I've met a lot of them. I'm pretty sure they're up and up, right? Straight up. They seem like our DSA is good here. And then they're the first DSA people I met because I just kind of started doing this political stuff like this, trying to go out and meet people and whatnot. But yeah, I met them and stuff, and I'm like, all right, they were cool. I told them I'm trying to get DSA and Green Party to come together and whatnot, and they're like listening to me. I've gone to their meetings. I've had a couple come to our meetings, and then the thing, like, I started talking to people around the country, and they started telling me this stuff about DSA, how they're Democratic psyops and stuff, and I was like, what, really? It's like, it didn't seem like that, and they're like, oh, there's some good chapters, and there's some, around the nation that are cool and whatnot, and that are really straight up and what, but it was just weird that I met, like in Hawaii, like most things are pretty decent out here, right, pretty good out here. I met a good chapter, and so that's what was my first, like my first impression of them, right? And so I had a good first impression, but then everyone else says, oh, you gotta watch out, you gotta watch out. So the people across the nation aren't as, I guess I'm just saying Hawaii's DSA to me is a good DSA.
The DSA is a garbage organization. I'm not saying there aren't good people who are committed to helping, and there aren't good local chapter. I'm not saying. I'm saying the DSA from at the top and in the middle is completely a controlled opposition. And here they are back in 1988 applauding Bernie Sanders, saying we need to have a organization that's outside the Democratic Party. And of course, the DSA is 100% in the tank for the Democratic Party. They
were applauding. Did you hear that?
They were applauding.
Applause.
That was
couldn't get away with that these days at the DSA.
No, you can't applaud because it'll hurt someone who's sensitive to sound.
Yeah, that's not a psyop. That's not a Simon Says mind control op of clap now, don't.
People will have differences of opinion. But my own feeling is the arguments of working within the Democratic Party and without go as follows. The argument for working within the Democratic Party is that people say, well, that's where the working class is. That's where the unions are. Let's stay within that. People are familiar with it. That's been their home for many, many years. There's truth to that, some truth to that. The argument against working within the Democratic Party is that for millions of Americans, both parties are looked upon with derision, with disrespect. Polls show that half the American people don't even know the difference between the Democratic and Republican Party. And I can tell you very honestly, this is just as a practical politician, which is what I am. When I campaigned in Vermont, and I don't think Vermont is terribly different in this respect than any other state in the Union. We went all over the state and we shook probably 30, 40,000 hands. I don't think that more than a dozen times people came up to me and said, Bernie, I can't vote for you because I'm a really strong Democrat and I believe in the Democratic Party, or I'm a strong Republican. I believe in the Republican Party. They don't. I think what ends up happening is people don't see much of a choice. There's the option. You got the Democrats, Republicans. Sometimes this one's a little bit worse. Sometimes this one's a little bit better. But I think that by standing up and telling the truth, that both parties are controlled by big money, which is clearly the case.
Exactly.
That neither party, and
what I just say, corporate parties, right? They're going to be working for the corporations.
I don't want to, and I should tell you, by the way, that within the Congress and in the Democrats, you have a lot of good people, and I'm not here to put them down. And you know their names. Good people who year after year have fought the good fight. But I think that nationally, the party has, on issue after issue, sold out so many times that if you go before the people and say, hey, I'm a Democrat, you don't usually generate a lot of enthusiasm.
So the person who actually sold out was Bernie Sanders. So that's the real Bernie Sanders. That's the Bernie Sanders people thought they were voting for in 2016. And he's not that guy anymore. Now he's just a guy who goes around and says you got to be in the Democratic Party. That's it. That guy from Andrew Shultz is Akash Singh. That's his name, Kurt? Kurt, do you know his name?
Yeah, Akash Singh, that's right. Wait. The corralling thing, they're doing the same job as Ben Shapiro.
They're doing
Remember Ben Shapiro's big, I don't care about JFK? He
Yeah.
goes, well, conspiracy used to be a left-wing thing, but now, sadly, it's infiltrated. They're all telling you to get back in your pen.
Yep. So here, Bernie Sanders flip-flop on the Democratic Party. I don't have time, but you get it. You get it. So Bernie Sanders is a big flip-flopper. Come see.
Yeah, Bernie flipping and flopping. So, yeah, we're going to keep going over some Bernie Sanders. I'm going to end this one here, but the next one will be about Bernie again. All right, keep coming back to Across the Spectrum. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.